Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another weekly edition of Timeout Talks. We've got plenty on the docket here to talk about today. We've got Super Bowl recap. We're going to talk some NFL preview. Ben's idea here. We're going to give you a little bit of our insights into the draft and just way too early stuff to talk about for 2024 season. We're going to talk a little bit about the Celtics trade deadline moves, the NBA trade deadline moves. But before we get to that, just wanted to let you guys know, Timeout Talks is brought to you by Chase and Throws Custom T-shirts and accessories, also sponsored by the Ice Shaker, and sponsored by Make It Mac. We're here, we're off and rolling on another Tuesday. Ben, the Chiefs get it done. I was talking to him a little bit before, 25-22, dramatics, overtime and all. I mean, we were talking about this a little bit last week. We were previewing the Super Bowl, of course. And that was one of the things we talked about was it's just such a close game. It can go either way. Both of us felt we had the Chiefs winning. I guess we were both right. But I was just telling him I hedged it. I hedged my parlay. I didn't hit it on the parlay anyways. But I switched to the 49ers on the parlay. I don't know what it was. I let everybody talk me into the room into it. And my parlay didn't hit, but the Chiefs end up winning Super Bowl 58. The Swifties are happy. Patrick Mahomes has his third Super Bowl ring. Ben, I mean, this guy is just climbing up the ranks of all-time quarterbacks.
Yeah, I was talking with people about this week. He's in the neighborhood, Josh Brady. Maybe he's like down the street, whatever. I'm not. We've already discussed a little in this build-up too. Everybody was already anointing him better than Brady, and they're still doing it. I mean, this kind of just confirmed it for those people, but I think when you slow the roll on that, Josh, and as I brought up, I think it was last week too. I'm a big Tom Brady hater. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to give him any credit. He obviously tormented the Steelers a little more than the Cowboys. So we got a little more of a gripe with him than Josh on that one. I think his all-time record against us is like 10-3. So didn't have the best time with Tom Brady. So I never want to give him any credit, but Mahomes isn't there yet. Give Mahomes, he's got plenty of time left. Josh said these way too early predictions. We'll get into maybe a three-peat for the Chiefs, definitely on the table for them. But we need to slow it down with the Mahomes already in the GOAT, sort of surpassing Brady. Brady's had 7 for a reason. He's the best. We gotta slow our roll on that, but Mahomes definitely on the way, Josh. And it's just proved it. You just can't bet against this guy. You really can't bet against this guy in the Super Bowl, big time games. No disrespect to Purdy. Purdy played a hell of a game. Purdy did his thing. Purdy did his job out there. The Niners I don't know. The Niners just kind of gave it to him on that one. But no, the Chiefs, did their part. But Mahomes still not better than Brady. Everyone's gonna just calm down about that. Talk to me in like 5 years. We'll see what he does in this 5-year run. But 7's a lot, Josh. 7, he's not there yet. So we need to calm down on that one.
100%. I'm not even thinking about it. I'm thinking more.
I don't
of
even like
guys
saying it, Josh.
Yeah,
I don't even like saying it.
It shouldn't even be in discussion. It's yeah. I mean, here we go. Charlie O'Donnell coming in first comment of the day. Mahomes, Brady, DeVasta, and Jeff Warren following with a probably going to bet on a Super Bowl repeat like next week. I think, to be honest, I couldn't agree with Jeff anymore. I mean, I think the 49ers will be back. I wouldn't be too worried if I was a 49ers fan. Obviously, you just lost the Super Bowl. That stinks. But they'll be back. They are one of the most talented teams in the NFL. They still have a lot of their guys left. I know Ayuk coming out saying all these cryptic stuff. They just lost the Super Bowl, Ben. I'm not overreading into this. It was tough. I mean, you got guys going down during the game. Deebo Samuel, Purdy was just running for his life. This Chiefs defense, Ben, was the real deal. I mean, Purdy played phenomenal. He played better than I thought he would. He didn't throw any interceptions. I know we're all going to talk about that one miss that he had in the end zone. That's going to haunt him. He talked about that a little bit, but at the end of the day, as you see on the screen here, it's Patrick Mahomes. You're going up against Mahomes, who finally turned the ball over. But even besides that, when it went into overtime and, Moody hits that field goal, you're feeling good. I mean, you got points in overtime, but we just knew it. I mean, they talked about this on all the media outlets yesterday. I heard it over and over again. Once the ball was in Patrick Mahomes' hands in overtime with the chance to just score a touchdown and win, I mean, 90% of us, Ben, knew that he was going to do that. He was going to deliver, and this Chiefs team did deliver. Travis Kelce stepped up when it mattered. I know everybody wants to talk about him screaming at Andy Reid. I don't have a big problem with it. He was passionate guy, ended up turning things around, had a phenomenal second half, like I mentioned. And hey, this is what the Kansas City Chiefs team does, Ben. You think you have them. They were up, down 10 points. This is another comeback in the Super Bowl again against Kyle Shanahan. I want to stress that. Tough, definitely tough, Ben. But this is what this Chiefs team does. They're resilient. They battle back. And now they have a defense to pair with it, Ben. I think Jeff mentions it perfectly. I know we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves. We're going to talk a little bit later about the 2024 preview. But we could see another rematch, a three-peat, or a three-time rematch of this Super Bowl. And again, if you're a 49ers fan, you're Brock Purdy, keep your head up high. You still don't have to pay him yet. It's easier to kind of go all the way and put all your chips in when you don't have to pay your starting quarterback millions and millions of dollars. But he's proven he's that guy, Ben. I didn't see anything in that Super Bowl that said, Brock Purdy's not really that guy. He can't get it done. The bright lights got to him. I completely disagree. I thought he played better than Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, and they were at home. This is the brightest lights that there can be. You've got plenty of celebrities watching. The whole world is watching you perform in the Super Bowl. This is the game you literally grew up like. This is what he was drafted to do. Was playing the big games like this, and I thought he delivered, Ben. I know people are going to overlook that sailed pass in the end zone that could have sealed the deal. Stuff like that happens. You're not going to hit on every play. Look at that interception Patrick Mahomes threw. I thought he had Kelce open in the flat. He throws an interception. These things happen. The Chiefs were just the better team. The 49ers, they played well. Kind of abandoned that running game. But at the end of the day, man, I'll say this till I'm blue in the face. Patrick Mahomes is the best player in the National Football League. We've seen it. He was the Super Bowl MVP. He's got one of the best track records of any player under the age of 30. We can say that. We're not going to go crazy and say he's better than Tom Brady. But what we're seeing this Chiefs team do reminds me a lot of what we saw the previous Patriots teams do. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not saying that they're going to be the next Patriots and win 7 Super Bowls, but I am going to sit here and say they have a pretty darn good chance of coming back to the Super Bowl next year. And on the flip side, as I mentioned, I think the 49ers fans have to hold their heads high. Yes, they haven't won a Super Bowl since before my Dallas Cowboys. That's fine. I'll throw that little dig in there. But guess what? They've always got that thing over my head, and they've actually been to the Super Bowl since I've been alive, since you've been alive, Ben. This is their 3rd time. I think they have a pretty solid chance. If I was a betting guy, I'd say that they were number 2 favorites to go back to the Super Bowl, the NFC favorites. Anything can happen, though. It's a weird, wonky offseason, a weird league. A lot can change in a year. But if my money was on it, I'd have to say we could see a Super Bowl repeat next year.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. I know Jeff was already putting that money in there. Jeff had a nice little Super Bowl too, betting wise. So that's I could see that from Jeff putting that little bet in there. That's a little fun one. A Super Bowl repeat, probably get some good odds on that right now. But I definitely could see it. 2 of the best teams. In this build up to this matchup, we discussed it. That was sort of been the main point, just the 2 best teams throughout the whole year. And I don't see really any of them losing too much of their talent. The Chiefs rebuilt that defense that we saw. The Niners are going to still have those weapons. I know Josh mentioned the IU cryptic messages. There's always going to be a couple guys like that after the Super Bowl stuff. Biggest game of the year. You lose like that, some guys are going to be a little emotional. So I don't think IU's going to go anywhere. But and I just want to get to this one too. We're gonna get Josh's thoughts on this one too. We'll get back to sort of the sort of game commentary. I like this one from Cam. This was a big one I saw. What did you guys think of the people not knowing the OT rules? Both teams. That was a little shocking. I'm not gonna lie. Originally, I didn't. I thought I knew it, and I think I confirmed that. I did, but I was a little skeptical on it. But yeah, that's kind of strange. These players not knowing it. As a fan, as a average fan, I'm an average fan. I would consider myself, I even knew it. So you gotta know it under those circumstances. I'm not going to yell at Mikael Hardman too much on that one. He wants me some nice money, so I won't hold it over his head too much. But yeah, very strange, Cam. As we just both brought up, it's the biggest game of the year. I thought you would know the rules for it. A little strange, those players not knowing it, but I'm interested in what Josh thinks in that one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting there, like, I think you hit it on the head there for me. I'm watching the Super Bowl and I'm like, what the hell are they doing? Like, the time's literally running out. I thought, I don't know, there was a lot. I mean, I had a couple people over my house. It's loud. It's big moments. I thought I heard Tony Romo saying something like, everybody relax. I know they're not using their timeouts. It'll just keep going. They have to finish their possession out. I'm pretty sure that's how it would work. But even aside from that, like I said, I'm not on the field. You're not on the field. And neither is anybody in this chat. I mean, if you are a Kansas City Chiefs player, if you're a San Francisco 49ers player, or you're a coach, you have to know the rules. It's a cop-out. I mean, they lost the game, Ben. And another thing I wanted to throw out was all these people, they keep saying, oh, why didn't they let the Chiefs get the ball first? That's nonsense. I mean, that's insane to me. I don't think I would do that. I mean, if I'm the San Francisco 49ers, I want to get the ball first. I want to dictate how this game's going to go, and that's it. I mean, I'm not going to give the ball to Patrick Mahomes ready to go. Like, I would rather get the points and dictate how it works for my team first, rather than wait to see what they do and then go down and score. I think that that's too much of an excuse. And at the end of the day, I think that this was a classic game, Ben. Started off pretty boring. Not for me. I was into it. I'm a football fanatic. But for a lot of the casuals, as we've been kind of talking about, started off boring. They've got their dramatic finish in very kind of controversial style. I mean, I know you mentioned a lot of people not knowing the overtime rules. I'm still confused on it. I mean, that's an open-ended question. Like, was the clock just going to run out and it would just continue there? I know you mentioned that with Mecole Hardman before that pass. They had like 3 seconds left on the clock. Not that it matters anyways because he catches it. But again, just a lot of weird stuff coming out of that overtime and too many people. One of my favorite beat writers, David Hellman, I mean, he works for Fox now, huge Cowboys guy, saying, oh, if I'm the 49ers, I want to give the Chiefs the ball first. I just disagree with that. I mean, I think you want the ball first. I get the whole notion of, well, at that point, you can kind of dictate either way. You'll know if you have to get a field goal or if you have to get a touchdown to finish the game. Because at that point, you get the chance to match. But I want to get the ball first, no matter what, Ben. I thought they made the right play. I think that's a cop-out. And kind of to your point as well, not knowing the rules, that's also a cop-out. If you're a player, you've got to know what's going on.
Oh, yeah, 100%, Josh. And yeah, that's perfectly said. That was the perfect point right there. I'm not going to hold the 49ers to that one. I'm kind of still a little confused at why everyone's yelling at him for that, accepting the ball first in OT. I kind of thought that's what you do. You want to score first, end the game. So I was kind of confused why they would give it to Patrick Mahomes, as you just said, too. I mean, just, the best player in the game. Why would you give it to the best player in the game's hand to end the game, the biggest game of the year? So that was kind of confusing. I'm not sure why everyone was getting on Shanahan for that. I'm not going to get on Shanahan. This little coaching one, as Cam pointed out, not discussing OT. That's a little on him. 4 weeks of preparation. He's got to make sure his guys knows, what's going on for any time, any aspect of the game, especially OT for this one. So that one's on him. And as you mentioned earlier, Josh, the running, the lack of the running in the second half, you gotta just keep running the ball, especially with the lead. Just much like the Ravens in the AFC Championship game, only 5 rushes. That just can't happen. McCaffrey, I know he was a little banged up at the end, and they just, I got a feel for McCaffrey. They just wore him down. You could see it at the end. He was just done. He was just, beat up. And he gave it his all. So you got to give it, everyone, especially everyone on that 49ers team gave it their all. But McCaffrey, especially, he was just out there just getting beat up. But you just gotta keep giving it to him. It's the last game of the year. Just keep feeding the rock. And Perry didn't even do that bad of a job. It's just, Mahomes just took over. And as Nelson pointed out, the Niners just left too much time on the clock for him. You got to just run the ball down, get rid of as much time as you can, give him as little time as possible. And they didn't. And they saw what happened. But yeah, ultimately these guys got to know. Yeah. Good point from Nelson, too. They covered the pass well. I think Josh was talking about earlier, too. This Kansas City defense really stepped up. After that sort of nice little trick play, another nice betting one right there, the Juwan Jennings to McCaffrey touchdown. Nice. I think a couple bettors had a nice little payday on that one. It was pretty good odds. I think after that one, Chris Jones really settled everyone down, yelled at it. I think he huddled everyone over on the huddle, on the sideline, I should say. Just kind of focused everybody, and that defense really changed from there, Josh. So, that defense just they changed it throughout the draft these couple of years, and it's really paying off for Mahomes. And with these Chiefs now, Josh, I don't know. The sky's the limit with them. I mean, they just supposedly had a bad year. Everyone was just questioning them. It is repeated. So definitely tough for my Steelers. Definitely tough for the Steelers vibes. But you just got to give it a hats off to these two teams, Josh, especially Mahomes and Kelsey. But shout out to Hardman too. Give me Mikael Hardman. That was I told everybody, Josh. I told you guys. It's on the show last week. I told you anytime touchdown.
What a call by Ben. I mean, that sounded a lot better than the Kadarius Tooney ones. I mean, he was inactive, didn't even suit up. A lot of people throwing money on him. But yeah, Ben, I mean, that's why they went out. They traded for him. Tony Romo mentioned it on the commentary. I know Jeff, I believe, was saying a couple weird comments from Tony Romo. I thought he was okay. I mean, I was watching a clip. Right. People were bashing him because he wasn't letting the Chiefs have their moment. I don't know. When they won, they just nitpick. I mean, he's my guy. He's had a couple weird moments, but I think he's fine. He's calmed down with that. I mean, everybody loved he predicts everything, and then he doesn't do it anymore because they didn't want him to. I don't know. It's just, you can't win. But other than that, Ben, I mean, I think Nelson hit it on the nail. I mean, that Chiefs defense, unbelievable. I mean, able to just... You saw that first drive, Ben. The Niners were just driving it down. Multiple possessions, they were driving it down. Then they forced that fumble, a couple big fumbles that they forced. They really shut down Kittle. Debo as well. They made Ayuk work for every single play. I mean, we knew Ayuk was going to do his thing. Me and you were kind of huge on Ayuk going into last week, before this week. And, I mean, this is just what scares me about this Kansas City Chiefs team, Ben, is their defense is so good. I mean, you look at their team as well. They have a bunch of studs, but they're not these, huge stars like the San Francisco 49ers have. They got Chase Young, Nick Bosa. I mean, this Chiefs defense is really predicated through that draft. A lot of these guys they drafted, Ben, Karlaftis. I mean, talk about sideline to sideline linebacker who was an unsung hero in that championship game. Then you look at Trent McDuffie, who we've ranted and raved about. He was unfriggin' believable in that game. A lot of these guys not getting their fair share. L'Jarius Sneed, unbelievable as well. I mean, I could just go on and on with these impact players. Chris Jones with the block. I mean, he's asking for more money. I mean, they're going to have to give it to him. This team, Ben, this is why on the bottom of the screen here we see the Kansas City Chiefs as the Super Bowl champions. They've got the best quarterback in the National Football League and arguably the best coach right now in the National Football League. And I think this is kind of the point that I was talking about last week. I think it was going to come down to a lot of schemes. It was going to come down to which coach could scheme up their team in the better positions, in the better ways to win the game. And as we saw Andy Reid doing a terrific job of that. Shout out to Steve Spagnuolo as well. I mean, the media raving about him. You don't know what package he's going to throw at you when you're the offense. Like I said, Brock Purdy did a pretty good job of weathering the storm, but not good enough job, Ben. And we're seeing the Kansas City Chiefs repeating, looking for a three-peat. And like I said, you can't stop Patrick Mahomes. And as long as this guy is the quarterback of that team, it is just a surefire thing every year. I don't care if they're 9-8. I don't care if they're 7-10 and they somehow win their division and the division stinks. He's going to make it difficult in the postseason and in the playoffs. And as long as you have him on your field, you know you can win any game. And that's kind of the point I was talking about earlier. Once he started driving that ball down the field late in the game, you knew how it was going to turn out. And it ended up turning out in his favor. The Chiefs are Super Bowl champions, and it leaves the 49ers and a lot of fans like us wondering, what's next? What's next for the NFL? What's next for a lot of these teams, Ben? As I mentioned, I think the 49ers will be fine, but I don't know. I mean, the next biggest thing to kind of look forward to, and I even pulled it up here on the screen for you guys, is the draft. I mean, as you can see here, let's see if I can find it. Here we go. This is the mock draft. This is what everybody's really looking forward to, Ben. This is the round one draft order. This is what the Patriots fans have been
This is when they get
ranting, and
back.
this is
We
what
get the
this
Patriots
is.
fans back.
100%.
There we go.
This is their get back here. I mean, I know a couple reports coming out saying that they might trade that third pick. That would be insane. I don't think that they do that. You never know. But I also read a report saying that they might look for their quarterback through free agency. Maybe that's Russell Westbrook. I mean, Russell Wilson, Russell Westbrook. I don't know who it is.
That'd be pretty crazy.
But
I would like that too, Josh.
I don't know.
I like Westbrook over there a little.
Yeah, we got people asking, what's next in the NFL? To the right of me, this is what's next. It's all about the draft.
Yeah, it's all about the draft right now, Josh. I just want to point out this. So the one before you said the Mahomes, as long as you got Reed too. I mean, as long as you got Reed and Mahomes, that combo alone, that Kansas City's gonna be fine. Kansas City's gonna be dangerous. And we got. I think this might be the last year we start. We keep down them. I think this might be the last year of the plus money. Going into the Super Bowl. I think we're gonna learn a little better on this one. But yeah, like you said, Josh, I think 49ers is gonna be fine. You got the pieces. Brock Purdy, I think he's gonna take the next level. It's just, I hate to say it too, Josh, but I don't know. It might be the coaching, as you pointed out. I mean, just three of the biggest, losses, 2 10-point losses. Obviously the Patriots come back over the Falcons loss. That just starts to pile up. It starts to get in your head. I don't know. He's a great offensive coordinator, everything, great offensive mind, I should say, great play caller. I don't know, but you start looking around that roster. They were getting after Mahomes. That defense did its part. That offense did its part. And, you start to see where they went wrong. Where did they lapse? And, the coaching kind of was the lapses in that game. So I don't know if they're going to, possibly move on from Shanahan. I don't know. He's one of the top coaches in the league, so it'd be kind of tough to move on from him. But get to that comment in a second. I like that one. But I think, yeah, San Fran, roster-wise, they're going to be they're going to be fine. Not to worry about anything. You're going to have the studs around there. As we were talking about the Chiefs building through the drafts, they've done that, in the previous years. That's how they got to here as well. They'll be fine. They'll be fine. I just, for the Niners, kind of like the Steelers too, it's just like, what's next? You got, who else are we going to blame? Blame the offense, the defense so much, special teams, when are we going to blame, the head coach? So I think Niners, that's sort of really the only thing on the horizon for them. Coaching wise, I think roster is totally fine. It's going to be, like I said, tough for the Steelers, Josh, with the Chiefs in here, but we're looking forward to the draft too. When was the last time a Pats fan was excited for the draft? I don't know, Cam. That's a good question. But they better not trade that pick, Josh. I know you just sort of slipped that in there. I was talking to Jimmy about it today. I don't know. If they trade that pick, the city might have to watch out because they gotta use that pick on something. Like I believe I mentioned it before, in the previous shows, sort of building up to it a little earlier in the season. They gotta get a quarterback or Harrison if he falls. You can't. Don't go. I love alignment too. Josh knows. The linemen are how you build this offense, how you build teams. Don't get alignment. You don't want alignment right now. You need a splash guy. You need a splash. You never get anybody in free agency. And when you do, they don't really pan out. They're the Nelson Aguilars of the world. Go get Marvin Harrison. Go get Drake May if he falls. Jaden Daniels. I think Caleb Williams is going number 1. So, but we'll get that into a little too later on. But Pats fans, you got to get a skill guy, Josh. You can't get an offensive lineman. If I see anyone from the defense, that's going to be even worse. If I see defensive lineman picked for the Pats, that's not going to be good for them. But thanks, Jeff, too. Thanks, Jeff. I forgot to say thanks for the haircut. Yes.
I mean, that was one of the first things I noticed when Ben got in here was his new haircut. Looking nice, looking clean. But yeah. I think you hit it on the nail. I mean, they have to hit in the draft. They need a skill player. They pretty much need that next guy that's going to cultivate that offense, whether it's a wide receiver, whether it's a quarterback. We'll see. As you can see here, this is the draft order. I mean, we've got a lot of questions coming out of this draft, Ben, and out of this, off season. Which teams are going to do what? I mean, it was announced today that the Bengals are going to pick up T. Higgins' $20 million franchise tag, player option. I mean, whatever it is, that's a hefty check there for T. Higgins. And it looks like that's a hefty wide receiver and star that's coming off the free agent market. He's going to remain with the Bengals. I think that's the right decision for the Bengals. And that's going to make things a little bit more interesting for teams like the Patriots, teams like, I'm blanking, but teams that kind of need that extra weapon in free agency. And I mean, I don't know, maybe the
Giants always need something.
Bears. I mean, you never know.
But these guys.
I think the biggest questions coming into this free agency is, are they going to draft Caleb Williams? Eileen, yes. What are the Patriots going to do? Commanders have a lot of money to throw around. What are the Giants going to do as well, as you mentioned? I mean, it's taking a guy like T. Higgins off the board makes things a lot more difficult for teams like that, Ben.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even realize that. So thanks to Josh on that one about the T. Higgins. I know that kind of puts a big hole in Jimmy's plan. Jimmy had a big plan about getting T. Higgins, Kyle Pitts, New England, and everything. Get Marvin. Yeah, he was going off on some pipe dreams. But glad to. I mean, listen, that's like Josh said. It's a hefty check for Cincy. They got to pay it. In the last couple of years, I think last year Burrow's rookie deal, he's going to have to get some money. Jamar. Obviously going to have to get paid too. So those two guys, you're looking at those big paydays. How are you going to manage those? Because you're not going to let either of those guys walk. So it was kind of not assumed, but it was kind of sort of looked at as T. Higgins was going to leave eventually. But this is kind of changes the dynamic of that. Giving him one more run of it. So I mean, hey, Bengals big time players now too. That's core. Wide receiver room is definitely one of the best in the leagues, Josh, and now hey, keep him around. So I mean, the Bengals back in it now. Not happy for me, but I mean, happy for Bengals fans over there. They're looking happy. I mean, just getting back to this point, Cam, just sort of that was backing up my point too. You just got to score the points. You just got to score points in this league now. Just make a solid season for the fans. So you got to bring some excitement. Offensive line would be great. You need to protect, whoever's playing under center for you. But you need the excitement. You need to draw some people to the stadium. You need a Marvin Harrison. You need Jaden Daniels. You need somebody that's going to put some butts in the seat. Patriots fans, do not draft any lineman. Just draft a skill position player. And again, I don't like saying this, Josh. I was talking about the Tom Brady. I don't like giving him any credit, but for Patriots fans, I just know that would be awful for him. So I don't really want to see it for him too bad either, even though it'd be funny. But go either Jaden Daniels or Marvin Harrison, because I know you already sort of talked about it too, Josh. I think Caleb Williams go number one. Caleb Williams go number one. It's just a matter of, are the Bears going to stay? Are the Bears going to trade back? Sort of get more picks, try to retool that offense. What's going on with the field situation? So that's just another thing to look at. Commanders, as you mentioned, a lot of money. Are they going to move on from Sam Howell? I know, so Drake May, Jaden Daniels be there. So I think Patriots, unfortunately, unless they want to trade up, I don't think they're going to get Williams. I think it's either going to be May or Daniels or Harrison, but Patriots need to make a splash and you start making the Nelson Aguilar moves. I hate to bring him up twice, but I mean, you gotta move on from that. You gotta bring in somebody better, somebody that's going to help out this offense a little more. And much like the Steelers, they got to figure out the quarterback situation. So just another thing to look forward to next season.
100%. I mean, Cam comes in here. He says, when is the last time the Pats fans have been truly excited for a draft? I mean, it's got to be this year. You can't, aside from the fans, just realistically speaking, you cannot back out of this third pick. You have to draft a skill player with that third pick. And just, moving forward, we talked about this a little bit. One of the most compelling stories in this offseason is going to be, you mentioned it there, the Bears take Caleb Williams. Well, what does that leave for Justin Fields? Where's he going to go? Is he going to go to Atlanta? Could he go to a team like the Commanders? Could he go to the New England Patriots? Would they trade that third pick? Or would they do another deal or move something? I mean, a lot of different options there. I think we're going to see Justin Fields in a different uniform this offseason. I don't know where it's going to be. Atlanta would be a huge match for him. Georgia guy, played for Georgia as well, grew up in Atlanta his whole life. I mean, that's a team that's kind of reconforming there. They're not going to run back Desmond Ridder, maybe as a backup, maybe see if that can emerge into something. I love the Taylor Heineke story, but again, kind of just a journeyman, had his nice little flash in the pan moment with the Commanders where he took Tom Brady and those Bucks to the brink. I mean, that's kind of his highlight moment. But aside from that, as you mentioned, that's another organization that needs to make a big splash. They've got a couple draft picks this year. What are they going to do? Maybe they trade the Patriots back out. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they get crazy. I have no idea. But that's another team to watch out for. Maybe the Patriots make a trade for him. I know Berkey boy has kind of floated that one out, which is wild, because he has bashed him since he joined the NFL. Look at the Steelers. Do they make a move for Justin Fields? I know Cody's talked about it a little bit. I don't think that's gonna happen. But as Ben's over here, like, hey, come on, bring him over, please. We'll take anything. Please. But a lot of opportunities here in the NFL. I mean, one last look here. I mean, we're going to be looking at this mock draft this draft board here all off season. But this is the last look here. It gets very interesting for those top. I mean, aside from the Chargers, they kind of have their franchise guy. Kyler Murray, Cardinals, whatever. I mean, those. Actually, I can't say that. I'm very interested in seeing what the Cardinals do early with their pick. You've got the Titans as well, Giants. I mean, these are teams that really need to make big moves. The Falcons, they're at 8, Ben. They're getting antsy. They want to make another move. Maybe they move further down. I don't know. Maybe the Patriots get rid of that third round. I don't know. That third overall pick. We're just kind of speculating here. But as Ben and Cam had mentioned, Patriots have to do something interesting. They got to bring in that generational guy. They got to bring in that franchise-changing guy. They got in their new coach, Gerard Mayo. They got the Scott Van Pelt's brother, Alex Van Pelt. Just making jokes with that.
Let's go.
They've got Dante Hightower. They're running back the reunion. They want to bring in some new, fresh faces. Maybe this is the start, but a lot of questions coming out of Foxborough and a lot of questions to be made for the Chicago Bears. Going to be an interesting offseason there, Ben, for sure.
Oh yeah, I think I was eyeing a team right there too, Josh. I just want to bring up this one too. They were sitting in the top 5 too. They got an interesting one, but we've mentioned it in previous shows too. I mean, just that field's a land apparent be electric. I think we gotta. I mean, the Bears. If you really, and I was kind of more of a supporter of keeping Fields and traded back. With another team, just building those picks. Obviously, want to be the Falcons now, but just building those picks up. And giving Whitfield some weapons because, I know Jimmy has always, questioned me, blah, blah, blah. Why are you giving him so many chances? And I say he's got no help over there. He's got one of the worst offensive lines he's ever seen, the NFL's ever seen 2 years ago. They've improved a little this past season, but still, TJ Moore had some injury issues. Still that offense lacked weapons for him. So, I mean, if you just get a couple weapons for him, get him offensive line, but I think Caleb Williams is just looked at as a generational talent. I think they're just not going to pass on him. So I think they just deal Fields and just get even more sort of weapons that way for Caleb Williams. But another team interesting, Josh. I mean, they're sitting there number 5, the LA Chargers. I mean, they had their down year and everything, but Mike Williams, if he ever could stay healthy, that's a solid wide receiver. I got you.
We are back. We lost me for a second there. I thought it was Ben. That we lost, but apparently it was me.
Looking at me.
I saw him looking at me. I didn't know what was going on. But yeah, I mean, to your point, that is a team that really, really desperately needs to make a change in, something. Maybe they go out and get that offensive lineman. They need that help. Maybe they're the team that brings in Joe Alt. I know Jared and companies kind of made jokes about the Patriots doing that, but Chargers would be the perfect fit for him. And that's an organization, Ben, with the Chiefs winning the championship, more pressure looming down them. Teams like the Cincinnati Bengals, Buffalo Bills, Dolphins look pretty good. I mean, these teams are making moves, and the Chargers have just been regressing. So interested in seeing what they do moving forward, Ben, and it's going to be an interesting NFL offseason for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate the heads up from everybody too. Appreciate that from Cam and Jeff. Help us out with that one. I thought Josh was really just looking at me intently on that pick, on that take from me. But No, yeah, as Josh mentioned, Joe Allen will be another great move too. Or, I said, I was going off on this point. You get Allen, you get Mike Williams back, and you add another stud wide receiver. It's division that you just need as much firepower as you can get. Just contend with the best player in the league, Mahomes. Broncos always a tough get for those division guys. Raiders always put up some points. So, uh, just today's NFL, you can just never have enough talent on that position wide receiver group. So I think that'd be kind of a scary wide receiver group. Allen, Williams, and Romeo Duzke from Washington. Sorry if I butchered that for him. Uh, but obviously, offensive line would be great too. Herbert's just got being up, much like McCaffrey in the Super Bowl. Herbert's just had a rough 2 years, and offensive line, just really hasn't been solid for him. They've just been kind of inconsistent, leading to many injuries for him. Just having inconsistent years for him. So finally, he can have a healthy year and just showcase his talent with Harbaugh, who I think can really bring it out of him. Finally, he's got a real head coach over there. Chargers, Josh, they were an interesting one right there. Um, you know, for me to look at number 5 spot, I think they can definitely use that one and just kind of get back into the race of this. And as you mentioned, too, Bengals, Bills, they're always going to be around Dolphins. But like Bengals kind of looking a little scary again. So Bengals, you gotta just give their fair shot of. So it's gonna be an interesting year, Josh. It's gonna be an interesting one. I won't throw the Steelers in there. I won't throw the Cowboys. The Cowboys will be there, Josh. The Cowboys have the talent. So this was good, that result was good, showcase the 49ers do have a weakness, the 49ers, are vulnerable. So the Cowboys, I know that's sort of their kryptonite, but uh, that's the last kryptonite, Josh. I think that's the last hurdle.
Ourselves. I mean,
I know, I know.
we're
It's just
our own
ours. I know.
kryptonite, man. I'm
I know.
laughing, but it's like we get in our own way, Ben. I mean, hey, maybe Mike Zimmer can bring. I don't
Yeah,
know. I
that's
think
a good
that's a
point.
pretty good replacement here for Dan Quinn. I mean, I think it was just running stale. He needed to move on.
Yeah.
It's just, maybe they bring in that tough nose guy. I know some of the Cowboys fans and reporters aren't crazy about it. I mean, they like it, but they're not crazy about how the locker room's going to react. We'll see. We've got a plenty of time in the offseason, training camp as well. March is really when it's going to start getting interesting for us, Ben. That's when free agency starts. That's right before that we're building up to that draft hype, beginning of April or middle of April, whenever that is. So we've got some time to look forward to that. With that being said, a lot of hype. What are our thoughts with the Celtics, Ben? They made a couple interesting trade deadline acquisitions, bringing in some defensive help here and a little bit of depth, adding Xavier Tillman and Jaden Springer. That's helping to give the Celtics a little bit more depth off the bench per se there. I'm not crazy on the Jaden Springer one. I really like the depth that Tillman can give. Good defensive guy. Good little hammer down low in the paint. And, I mean, I think the Celtics didn't really need to make a huge splash, Ben. I thought they're kind of fine with the pieces that they have. They went out, they got Kristaps Porzingis in the offseason. That was kind of their big move. They bring in guys like Xavier Tillman. But it's really going to come down to this big three here. Kristaps Porzingis, Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum moving forward. And I think some of those pieces that they brought in, those are bench guys. They'll help out, maybe replace some minutes for the Luke Cornettes and the O'Shea Brissett guys. I like Brissett, Syracuse guy, but, adding a little depth there with Tillman and Springer, I think is solid. They didn't need to go out and knock it out of the park here with a home run in the trade deadline. I thought it was fine what they did, and they added some depth that they needed.
No, I think it was perfect, Josh, too. They're not going to go make those Buddy Hield moves and Burks and Bogdanovich to the Knicks. There's a couple. We'll get to some of these other trade deadline ones. The East had a pretty good trade deadline, Josh. The East was pretty active. But I think we did it perfectly. Didn't give up too much, and we got the depth that we needed. The Tillman one, as you just pointed out too, that's my favorite one. Jane Springer, we're gonna have to see him play. And I had to be honest, I haven't really seen him play. I know he was a good defensive rotational player over in 76ers, so I love always just adding defense over here to especially just a team that we already have Drew Holiday and Tarek White, Porzingis. We've already got these studs on the defensive side, and we just add more defensive help. That's just going to help us just going forward into the playoffs as much as we can. Need everybody playing, especially like I said, Pritchard. Pritchard. I love Pritchard. I know everyone gets into that debate too, but he can be a defensive liability sometimes, And listen, he's better than basketball on me for sure, but it's just the size. In the playoffs, he's just gonna get picked on. He's just gonna get ISO. They're just gonna, just keep screening for him and keep attacking that. So it's just any more depth to the defensive side we can on that, I'll take. The Tillman is just what we've been needing, Josh. I've been asking for this. Just get a big man that's just strong, he can bully people down there. He was getting into Kyrie. I remember just earlier in the season, he was giving into Kyrie a little when they were playing. So I like that toughness. I like what he brings over there. He's just a solid player. He's a bruiser. And I think he's just really gonna do well in the Celtics offense. And just give some relief to Porzingis because we can see what a healthy Porzingis, as Josh just illustrated too. That's the big three. As long as we got those three guys, I think we can beat any team in the league right now. Can take any team in a 7-game series. We just got to keep Porzingis healthy. He's the X factor and all that because we've seen what Tatum and Brown can do. We've seen how far they can take us. They just need that little extra push, I guess. I thought they could do it just those two, but I think they need a little extra push from another star over there. So I think Porzingis has just been perfect for us this year. And they just need to keep him healthy. Need to keep him healthy, and I think Tillman's going to do that job. Excited to see him play and everything. So, just mentioned too, Jane Springer was just going to have to grow on us. We'll have to see what happens with him, but I'm excited and a little scared of 76ers, Josh. I didn't change. I know everyone was still changing. I know I kind of changed it too. But Buddy Hield, I think that's a big addition for that. Buddy Hield with that line of healthy Embiid, obviously, you got to factor that in. But I think him, Maxey, and Hield, and Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris is playing well right now. That's a little scary.
100%. A lot of people are raving about the Knicks.
I know where you're going. Oh, the Knicks. Oh, I thought you were going another team.
I'm going to talk about them too. We can. The Thunder as
well.
well, making some big moves, getting my guy Gordon Hayward. The Knicks, though, getting that reunion with Burks, went out and got Bojan Bogdanovic on my fantasy team. He's a good scorer. He even said it himself, that Knicks atmosphere, that energy of MSG, he loves it. He fits in like a glove. That's another guy, another scorer they needed to go out and get. I thought they made some good moves. Mavs as well. They went out, they made a huge move. They went out and got PJ Washington, who's already fitting in huge there. They've got Lively as well. As you can see there, Gaffer. They've got, blanking, Luka Doncic, the best player on their team. They're a pretty solid team. I know we talked about them obviously having that little drop-off since Jalen Brunson, but hey, they went out and they got PJ Washington, space out the floor there for Luka Doncic. Not a huge, big splash. Compliment him and Kyrie Irving well. And hey, as you mentioned, 76ers knew they had to go out and get something. Kind of similar to the Knicks, though. In the sense of both of their big guys are out. Joel Embiid just went out for a while. That torn meniscus, that's going to take some time. And same with Julius Randle. He's got that shoulder problem going on. I wanted to come and say one thing here. Aside from the trade deadline, aside from everything, how about the Miami Heat? Everybody was running around telling me this is the team we got to be afraid of. I know it's not the postseason, but I'm not afraid of this team. As you mentioned, you said it perfectly. They went out and they got Kristaps Porzingis. He is the Achilles heel of this team. He's either going to take us to leaps and boundaries and is going to take us all the way, or an injury is going to impact us and we're going to be the same old Celtics that we were last year, trying to rely on everything between Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I think Kristaps Porzingis, they're managing him very well. I like what some of these teams around us have done. Shout out to the Thunder as well. We talked about that. Bringing in Gordon Hayward.
She's boy.
Yep. West Coast move there. But again, I still think the Celtics are the best team in the Eastern Conference the Eastern Conference. And I think they'll be going to the Eastern Conference Finals with no problem at all. I like what some of these teams have done. The Pacers, the Knicks, the Bucks. They try to go out and get some defensive help. Buddy Hield to the 76ers. It's cute. But I still think the Celtics are the best team in the East, Ben. Even the Terry Rozier move to the Heat doesn't scare me that much. I like the Celtics. They're going to get the job done, and they're holding on to that number one seed, and I think that's really what's important.
Yeah, great point too. I don't know, where's all the Heat fans now? Where's all the Heat people? They were saying, and I know obviously we gotta wait till the postseason a little longer. That's when they sometimes show up. But I mean, to be honest, they got to start showing up a little sooner, Josh, in this season if they're going to give any hope to those fans. It's just not looking good. I know they put up a fight against us, but we were just kind of in control of that whole game. And I've seen a couple of games from them. They just, I don't know. It's just they just lack that offensive firepower sometimes. They rely on Bam a little too much. Jimmy Butler been a little consistent this year, but like I just said, that all could be thrown out the window, and Jimmy Butler can go into Jimmy buckets in the postseason like that. Uh, Scary's Harry. He hasn't been too scary right now, but I mean, he can't turn it on. We've seen him do it. They made that move for a reason. Uh, so I'm not totally bashing them, but I'm still bashing them a little. I'm still not impressed with what they're doing. As Jeff pointed out, yeah, some Sixers fans super mad about that Springer trade. That does give me a little more hope for it. I just didn't really know him. Like you said, he's kind of a rotation guy over there. So, but it's good that the hardcore fans gonna miss him. That's a good sign for us. We always value a hard worker over here. For the Celtics need a grinder. So get those Tommy points going. So excited about that. But we didn't even mention it, Josh. And shout out to the Thunder. I knew you had slipped that Thunder trade in there. Get Josh's boy Gordon Hayward out there. I almost call him Jordan, but Gordon Hayward. I think that's just nice veteran presence to that very young team who's top of the West. I mean the Thunder, Shea Gildress, I mean, he's just turned into one of the top players in the league. If Chet could stay healthy, they've just got some great depth they've added through the draft. I mean, they've had a ton of picks, Josh. They got to hit on some of these guys. They've just been building so many years throughout the draft. You've finally seen it pay off for the Thunder. So we get back to those sort of, Katie, Russ, Harden days of success. I'm not saying the same play style, but same success for them as they're looked as one of the top teams in the West. So great veteran presence over there for Hayward. And the Thunder could definitely take that next step over there. West is a little open, but for the East, I think we got to worry about the Cavs, Josh. I don't think we've mentioned them yet. I mean, this Cavs team. I think you were building up to it, but I mean, Donovan Mitchell going off. They just sent some crazy stats this month. They outscored their opponents like just a crazy amount. I don't want to say too much. I saw a tweet up, and I don't want to get it wrong, but I mean, they've just been outscoring their opponents a crazy amount, and just killing teams. Really haven't been close. They just dropped a close one to 76ers, but 76ers needed one. They were railing. Maxey put on a show. Maxey just this is another thing too. I think that's why that Buddy Hield trade's going to be good for the Maxey. Just couldn't do it all for the 76ers. Got to give him a load off. Make sure he's good for playoff time as well. So, but I think the Cavs, Josh. I mean, it's just Donovan Mitchell. Evan Mobley coming back, Jared Allen, Karis LeVert. I mean, these guys you just sort of look at this team and George Niang. I mean, they got some of these depth guys. You're like, oh wow, he's on this team. You kind of forget. Kevin Love still kicking it over there. I'm talking about veteran leadership for Gordon Hayward. He's a great little veteran piece over there. I think the Cavs got to be watched out for, and as the guy I mentioned in the first, I mean, Donovan Mitchell's just the star leading it over there, and no, don't want to excuse me, Darius Garland. Don't want to throw him. Don't want to forget about him. He's a solid player over there too, but Donovan Mitchell's a real star over there. He's just been taking over too this month. So I feel like nobody's been talking about the Cavs for a little too. They're sneaking into my scared rankings too for the Celtics. But like you said, Josh, still best team in the East, I believe. Can beat any team, but Cavs kind of worry me. That size, with that explosiveness for Mitchell, kind of scares me. Team to watch out for, but it's still at the top, Josh. We're still at the top. I'm gonna be excited to see. Got the Nets tonight, I believe. Excited to see that. I'm playing right now. Hopefully, little road game. I know we had a nice little homestand right there. Hopefully, we just keep that same energy, keep that same pace up, and don't lose this one because the Nets can be a little tricky, Josh. They can be a little stingy over there, but I think we should get the job done tonight. I wish we had Robbie Betts. Robbie Betts to throw something in for us, but thanks for Chief for that one. Hey, just agreeing with me right there. Don't sleep on the Cavs. Yeah, they're legit right now.
Yeah, I mean, this is a team, Ben, that, I mean, I just talked about completely fell under the radar for me personally. I was doing a little bit of digging right now. As you mentioned, they are the closest to us. They're 5.5 games behind. I mean, the Celtics were really kind of just running away with that first seed. But aside from that, I mean, it was kind of the Bucks, the Knicks, the 76ers, Pacers, Heat. Those were kind of the teams we were talking about earlier in the season, the Magic. But as you mentioned, the Cavs have only played us twice. Yeah, we've beaten them both times. But, Ben, as you mentioned, they've been killing it this pretty much this past month and a half for the past 2 months. Yeah, they lost their last game, but they've won 9 of their last 10 games, Ben. And as you mentioned, they've got a lot of players to complement that team very well. As you were kind of talking about it, I was thinking as well, too, I'm like, I feel like Donovan Mitchell has kind of emerged and he's kind of like let his wings go a little bit since he's been on this Cavs team. He feels more free, that matching, that pairing with Gobert, who granted is in the number 1 seed right now, Timberwolves. I know you talked about Thunder. Thunder 1 game out, but we'll say that. But aside from that, the Cavs really have kind of swept under the rug here. We're talking about the Knicks. They're making all these trades. They're playing well. I know Jerry's been huge on the Knicks. We talk about the Milwaukee Bucks and Damian Lillard, and that's my team over there. That's gonna kind of give the Celtics a tough time. Not my team, but my team that I think can go to the Eastern Conference Finals with the Celtics. I know they lack that defense, but they've got that star power. And we talk about the young Magic, kind of the thorn in the Celtics' back. Early in the season, they beat us a couple times. The Heat. But this Cleveland Cavaliers team has really flown under the radar. As you mentioned, Evan Mobley, getting him back has been huge. He has really, talk about fitting in like a glove there. He's been phenomenal. Double-double player. I've got him in my fantasy team, so trust me, I know everything about him. As you mentioned, too, Karis LeVert, Garland, Donovan Mitchell. They've got some studs over there, Ben. And this is a team, as you and Charlie have mentioned, to kind of watch out for. I know last year, a couple years ago, they started to finally make some rumblings. But I think that this could potentially be a team, Ben, to make it to that second round and maybe even make it to the to the conference finals. The series right before the NBA finals, the conference championships. Took me way too long to get that out. But this is a team, Ben, that as you have hit it right on the nail, I was literally just doing research as we're talking because they've flown that far under the radar. This is a team that I think we really need to watch out for. And I know the graphic says the NBA trade deadline, but this is a team that even through the trade deadline, they've really kind of just been coasting up to the top.
Yeah, great point from you on that one. Yeah, it's just unfortunately for Jazz fans over there, it just wasn't going to work out. And I hate to keep throwing him under the bus for that, but I think just after that sort of COVID incident with Gobert, I think he just kind of lost everyone in that Jazz locker room. They were a great duo for a little. The Jazz team was really good, Mitchell and Gobert, but I think Gobert kind of just ruined it with that one. I kind of just lost everyone in the locker room. Maybe seeing them flourish, as Josh pointed out, number 1 team, number 1 seed, I should say, T-Wolves. They're just getting on great over there. I think, that Mike Conley pairing has been helping Rudy Gobert. He's played with him over in the Jazz for a little while. They got a good rapport with each other, sort of helping him out. And, it's Anthony Edwards' team over there. Rudy Gobert knows that. Even Cat knows that now because it was Cat's team for a while and Cat had to give it up. Everyone on that team sort of has a good understanding that, this is Anthony Edwards' show. Let's just help him out, be supporting pieces. It's been working over there for them clearly. So I think that trade worked out for everybody. Got Gobert a fresh start. Sort of Mitchell, got a fresh start over there. So both those trades, I should say, helped out. It sucks for the Jazz. They're still decent. Got a plethora of young guys from those trades. Lauri Markkanen's been playing well for them. They always put up some good fights against these top teams, stingy teams just like the Nets. But just they don't have the star power anymore. Tough to attract people to play in Utah for some reason. I don't know why, but yeah, Utah not the best place to play. But T-Wolves dangerous team. That's why I'm saying the West's a little open too, Josh. I mean, T-Wolves are sitting up top. I don't want to keep bashing them, but do we really see them being as consistent? They kind of always fall off. They got the Thunder right there. Maybe are they too young for this? And the Nuggets always lurking. Nuggets still there. Josh's Lakers. I'm gonna throw Josh on the bus. He's been counting on his Lakers. I was high on them last year. Listen, I always get high on the Lakers postseason time. You can't count on LeBron. Right, so he's the GOAT. Yeah, listen, MJ's the GOAT, but he's right up there. Go B, I should say. But I never count him out for postseason time. But the Lakers always still right there. I think the East is a little deeper than the West this year. So I think I kind of look at those. As the West is a little top heavy. I don't really see the Warriors are just kind of Josh. I think they need to get a new blueprint over there. Clay's not doing too well. They got to figure out a new big three over there. So I'm excited for this postseason, Josh. Gearing up for it, and I think everybody did pretty good trades this time around. Shout out to the Knicks too. I know that's your team over. Shouting out them too, but I think I know you shout out them a couple times, but I just want to give them a little due too. That's a hardworking team. We got two great trade additions over there, so East is looking deep, Josh. East is looking better.
100%. I mean, and I kind of disagree with you though with the West. I think, I mean, just I was kind of just looking here and thinking like I agree with you 100% on the Timberwolves. Young team. I just something's missing there. I don't know what it is. They kind of remind me of like the Denver Nuggets previous when they kind of owned the regular season and then the postseason comes and they get exposed. The big guys, all those, they get all pumped up to make it to the postseason and it just kind of deflates. But I mean, and then you look at that second seed, the Thunder. I mean, as you mentioned, young team. I love that Gordon Hayward trade, and even aside from that Gordon Hayward trade, I've always kind of felt they can make a deep run in the Western Conference, especially with teams like the Lakers, Warriors, Mavericks, kind of hurdled all the way down to the bottom. Suns battling their injuries. I mean, they just can't figure it out with Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, and Devin Booker all at the same time. Pelicans, I mean, when are they finally going to figure it out? I mean, is Zion finally going to stay healthy? I know they're the 5th seed right now, kind of hovering towards that 4th seed, getting there. But, I mean, I think it's a rat race if you look at seeds 6 through 10, Ben. I know the Lakers, Warriors, Mavericks all kind of holding on. I've been going strong on this Lakers can make it to the Western Conference Finals again. But there is a team, Ben, that really, really should scare you in the Western Conference. We haven't talked about them. This is a team that's really flying under the radar. One of the players on that team last night had a couple big plays, had an ankle breaker last night, and that is the Los Angeles Clippers. This is a team, Ben, that has really, really come along, and I think they have a balance of great players. I know I'm kind of iffy on the James Harden, but he's kind of fit them well. They've got Paul George, a little bit more depth there to help out with Paul George and Kawhi, who has been playing phenomenal. I think that this is a team you really have to watch out for if you're the West. You've got Kawhi Leonard, that seasoned vet. If this team can stay healthy, Ben, I would be very worried about playing them. If you're a young team like the Timberwolves, Thunder, or even the Nuggets, I think that this team could be the thorn in people's backs. And I think this team will for sure win more than one playoff series, maybe 2. And they make me worried about my Lakers take. I was thinking, I still haven't, I'm hedging a little bit, but I haven't fully left from it. I still feel the Lakers can make that deep push in the Western Conference Finals. But hey, I will say this. The Los Angeles Clippers are, a game and a half out of the number 1 seed in the Western Conference Finals. I just want that to sink in there. And as always, I'm going to turn it over to Ben to wrap up the show. I want to say thank you to everybody for tuning in. Was a great show. I know I had we had a quick little technical difficulty, but we battled through. Kansas City Chiefs looking for that three-peat, and I'm going to leave it with this. I still think the Los Angeles Lakers can make that push to the Western Conference Finals.
I had my mind with the Clippers take, Josh. I was getting ready to say it right there. That was my next take. I mean, they just had the hottest month. We talked about the Cavs having won the hottest months. Clippers on the other side equally having won. Paul George stepping up too. I know everyone has a little debates with him, superstar or not, but Kawhi, James Harden, Westbrook even stepping into his role. Norman Powell, they got depth over there. I'm really liking what I'm seeing from them. They didn't help me with the bet. That's a little unbiased, but that's a really dangerous team too to look out for too, Josh. I know you mentioned you didn't like that top heaviness, so that's another team I could definitely see the Clippers upsetting some of those top teams right now in the playoffs. But wrapping up, just great NFL season. Thanks everyone as always for commenting. Congrats to the Kansas City Chiefs. Nice and easy. Hopefully the Steelers and Cowboys can get there too a little sooner than later. But I'll end on this. Thank you, Mikael Hardman.